Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating language learning shortcut. It's a tool that claims it can make the whole process faster and maybe even easier for the people who struggle with it the most.
Think about it. The last time you tried to learn a new language, all those irregular verbs, the pronunciation that seems to change on you, the endless exceptions to every rule, it can be a real grind, right? Well, what if there was a way to speed up that process a lot? And what if that exact same tool had this totally unexpected side effect? Like, what if it could be a lifeline for students who find the usual chaos of most languages to be a huge barrier to learning?
Okay, so the tool we're talking about is the constructed language Esperanto. But we're not looking at it as some kind of utopian dream. We're looking at it as a practical teaching tool. And our guide through all of this is the research of Dr. Alessandra Medella, a professor who's pulled together decades of studies on this very topic.
So how on earth can one language make all these bold claims? Well, the answer is actually baked right into its design. It's built differently from the ground up.
So first, a quick refresh, just so we're all on the same page. Esperanto was created back in the late 19th century. Its creator, L.L. Zamenhof, wasn't trying to erase other languages. He just saw Esperanto as this easy on-ramp to international communication, a simple bridge between different cultures. And this slide illustrates its core idea perfectly. Instead of memorizing thousands of totally unrelated words, you just learn a root word and then a set of logical pieces, kind of like Lego bricks. So for example, the prefix mal just means the opposite. That's it. So if you learn that bana means good, you instantly know that malbana means bad. It's an incredibly simple and powerful system, and here's the kicker. There are no exceptions. This logic extends to how it sounds, too. In Esperanto, one letter always makes one sound. Always. You have 5 vowel letters, you get 5 vowel sounds. Simple. Now compare that to the beautiful chaos of a language like English, which, as you can see here, has over 250 different ways to spell its vowel sounds. This consistency just removes a massive roadblock for anyone trying to learn. And the grammar? It's just as clear. Every single noun ends in O. Every single adjective ends in A. There is zero ambiguity. You can tell what a word does in a sentence just by looking at its ending. This simple, transparent structure, well, it's the key to everything we're about to talk about. Okay, so with that foundation laid, we get to the really big claim that learning this super simple language first actually makes you better and faster at learning other, much more complex languages later. Now, this is not some newfangled idea. Dr. Medella's research documents a whole century of experiments looking into this. All the way back in 1925, a study at Columbia University found it was learned 5 times faster than French or German. And for decades after that, studies in the UK, Germany, you name it, they all kept pointing to the same conclusion.
So what's the actual measurable benefit here? Well, the Paderborn experiments in Germany put a hard number on it. Students who spent 160 hours learning Esperanto before they started English ended up learning English, on average, 26% faster than their classmates. Think about that. They didn't just catch up, they actually surpassed them, saving a huge amount of time in the long run.
But it's not just about the mechanics. It's also about psychology. The psychologist Claude Piron made this brilliant point. Since no one is technically a native speaker, the fear of making a mistake, of sounding foolish, is just gone. It's dramatically lower. And that builds confidence, which is like rocket fuel for any kind of learning. Okay, so this foundation leads us to the next and, honestly, one of the most fascinating benefits. Esperanto doesn't just help you learn other languages. It actually helps you understand your own language better.
Let's try a quick little test. In English, we know good is the adjective for goodness. But what's the adjective for mother? Maternal. Okay. What about for child? Well, it could be childlike or childish. What about for roof? There isn't really a common one, is there? It's all irregular, and often we have to borrow words from other languages to fill the gaps.
And this table here shows the same kind of thing happening in Italian. The adjectives often look like completely different words from the nouns. But look at Esperanto. The pattern is perfect. Patrino, mother, becomes patrina. Tegmento, roof, becomes tegmenta. It's a perfect working model of how grammar can function.
So by playing around in this kind of linguistic sandbox, students develop something called metalinguistic awareness. Basically, they stop just using language and start understanding how it's actually built. And once that happens, all the hidden rules and structures of their own native language suddenly become visible.
Which brings us to our final point, and this is where that incredible clarity might have its most profound impact.
For a student with dyslexia, that disconnect between spelling and sound in languages like English or French can be the biggest obstacle of all. But because Esperanto is perfectly phonetic, one letter, one sound, no exceptions, that entire barrier is just taken away.
And this has real, tangible effects. Dr. Medella's report shares this story from a French teacher who was observing an Esperanto class. She said, and I quote, "I was surprised to see that 2 dyslexic students had blossomed and were among the best in the class. For those students, the language wasn't a puzzle to be solved. It was an accessible system that they could finally master."
So, let's just pull it all together. The research shows Esperanto acting as this really unique educational tool. First, it's a playground for understanding grammar. Second, it's a huge confidence booster because of that quick, early success. Third, it acts as a proven bridge to other languages. And fourth, it offers this amazing support for students with specific learning challenges.
It is a powerful set of claims for sure, which leads us to this final, pretty provocative thought from the source material. If the Minister of Education of any country listens, they will immediately replace English with Esperanto in their country's schools. Now that is a bold statement, but it really makes you think, doesn't it? What if the fastest path to speaking multiple languages doesn't begin with the world's most dominant language, but with its most logical one? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.